What's going on, everybody? It's the Lord Axe coming to you with a brand new video, and today I am breaking down my top 5 leaders going into OP03. Now, this list will be subject to change as we get into the set, but here's what I think the format's going to look like, at least for the first go around. So, first and foremost, coming in at number 5 on this list, I'm going to have Eustace Captain Kid from the starter deck. Now, the reason this guy I have at the bottom of the list and not higher up is simply for the fact of he's hitting a run or a sprint right now at the end of OP02 with the film style, and I don't think that is going to sustain as well going into OP03 with how fast red is going to be getting, and I don't think this deck scheme can compete as well against red as it's able to compete now. I think a lot of other decks are getting more removal as well, which is going to make this deck a lot harder to sustain with how expensive a lot of the main cards that you play being that 7-drop Lofi or even 8-drop Kid or the 7-drop Kid blocker. With those cards being so expensive, your recovery ability goes down by having to commit so much per turn, and if you exhaust your hand playing the 7-drop Lofi and you're not able to sustain after that because your opponent has so many more removal options, I just don't see this deck being able to sustain as well moving forward. Now, coming in at number 4, I've actually got Blue Doflamingo from OP01. Now, the reason I have this as like my main blue deck moving into set 3 is because Dofi is, to me, going to be the blue deck that'll never go away. It's not as gimmick driven as Ivankov, and it's definitely not as gimmicky as Nami. Now, Nami is going to be the fun deck that you're going to play at locals, that you might win a few games. Hell, you might even win the locals with it here and there. But I don't think Nami coming out the gate is going to be strong enough to be able to compete consistently with everything else. And it honestly, based on its design, doesn't seem like it's designed to be strong enough to compete. However, Dofi's ability being able to play cards from the deck and use the top 5 cards of your deck as like a secondary hand, that ability is always going to be good. And I don't think it'll ever fully die out. And blue is getting some generic support with the new 7-drop Usopp that also has 1,000 counter, allows you to play a bigger card in your deck that still removes stuff from the board, lets you draw, but it doesn't take away your counter power. We're also getting new event cards like 3,000 Worlds that allows you to bottom deck 4 cost cards or less. So the deck's inherent ability to remove problems and then play a card from the deck is going to be there, because the big problem right now is consistently being able to get rid of problem cards permanently and then play a card from our deck in response. And having some event cards that provide that a little bit more flexibility with that is going to make a big difference for the deck. Do I think it's going to be strong enough to compete fully? No, I think it's going to be a lot like OP02, where you're going to see 1 or 2 Dofi decks get a top 16 throughout the format, but I don't know if we'll see one actually take first place. I could be surprised, and I would be gladly surprised. Now, coming in at number 3, I have Ace. Now, Ace is, I think, the most interesting leader coming into this set, because this deck is loaded. It has everything you need being in red. It has strong low cost. You can run the Straw Hats with it to give it a little extra boost. All of the Whitebeard cards are going to be good with it. We have the Whitebeard Searchers now. We have the Event Searcher in Buggy. This deck is set up for full success going into this format. Now, if someone says, would I play this or would I play Whitebeard? I think they're going to be about the same when it comes to success. So if in this 3 slot, if this is 3A, Whitebeard is maybe 3B. I don't think you could really, I think it's a toss-up between which one you'd want to go. And that kind of segues me in to the number 2, which the number 2 is our yellow. So in yellow, coming into this, we have Katakuri, Black Yellow Big Mom, and then we have Starter Deck Big Mom. Now, these are interesting. Now, I know, when you say like, oh, what is the, why are you giving me like 3A, 3B, 3C? And it's because we're not in the format yet. So it's hard to fully gauge this. But the reason I'm telling you my top card is because that is the leader that if I was to pick if you said pick a leader right now and play, the top leader is what I would play. So for 3, Ace. And for yellow, the leader I would play is the Starter Deck Big Mom. So when attacking Dawn X2, you may add 1 card from the top or bottom of your life area to your hand. And if your life is at 2 or less, you may place up to 1 card from your hand at the top of your life area. So the reason I really like this effect is it allows you to cycle cards into your life that are going to have trigger effects, or things that you don't need now that you maybe want to see later, and replacing them with hopefully something that you can use. But because this is yellow, your ability to cycle your life and look at your life and control it that's the gimmick. And you should be grabbing things that you know are going to be good and useful. Now, second to that, I definitely think Katakuri is a solid secondary option, and I honestly feel like Katakuri is going to be a little bit more popular than Big Mom simply because it's Katakuri and he's awesome. But so he allows you to look at the up to 1 life card from the top of your opponent's life area and put it either on the top or bottom of the life area, and then this leader gains 1,000 power for this battle. Now, the reason this is huge is you're going to be able to dodge trigger effects with this, and I think that's going to be really big when you're playing into red. So I feel like he's going to be really popular for the players who are really afraid of swinging at direct life and afraid of trigger effects. But overall, if I was to take this or Big Mom to a big tournament, I would be taking Big Mom. Now, my number 1 deck going into set 3 leader wise is going to be OP01 Zoro. I'm sure people are super shocked about this, but to be honest, it's got the most generic effect. The effect is always going to be good, and the low cost red rush scheme got buffed going into this format. Red got stronger event cards that are generic that allow it to clear the board easier. They have triggers that pop. So instead of being afraid of like 1 jet pistol and a red hawk, there are now several other cards that you need to be afraid of that we actually covered in stream just a little bit ago, but you can look out for another video breaking down those cards to be aware of coming soon. But Zoro, again, is going to be my top deck going into set 3, and honestly, I feel like you shouldn't be surprised. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, what about Law? Law, I think, is going to be very interesting going into set 3, and I think it's going to come down to Law is the most flexible deck I think we have in this game, and I am not the greatest Law player out there. I play Law very casually, and I like to build fun Law strats, less than meta Law strats. So, what I'm going to tell you is this. To be honest, I don't know where Law is going to end up, and I think that's the best part about it. So if I was to log any leader as my sleeper leader going into set 3, it is going to be Law. Watch out for him. I think he's going to be able to take some big tournaments going in, and he's going to be able to counter against a lot of the other strats coming out. Let me know what you guys think about this leader list in the comments down below. Where would you rank the leaders of set 3, and who are you going to be playing in set 3 when the set drops at the end of the month? This has been the Lord Axe. Make sure to check me out on Twitch, the Lord Axe TTV, or on Twitter at TreeLord2440, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a great one.